Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business and let's wake up the football gods this morning. And hopefully, everybody's okay. There was another earthquake last night in Ridgefield, which is about 113 miles north of LA, actually closer to Oxnard, California. This is the second in the last couple of days. There was a 6.4, thousands of aftershocks, and of course now this one 7.1. These are the two biggest earthquakes in California in the last 20 years, and hopefully these are the worst of them. They're done and over with. But everybody be safe, and hopefully, like I said, everything won't be any worse than what it is already. So just be safe. And of course, our Cowboys, less than 3 weeks from now, are headed out to Oxnard, California, and things. So hopefully everything gets back to normal and stuff as we sit 61 days, 9 hours, 52 minutes, and 10 seconds away from kickoff of the 2019 season. And so, it's the dead time right now. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on. It's the quiet before the storm, before that marathon that will lead us up to a Super Bowl. And this is just the final time for players to get that chance to get that last little enjoyment in, that last little off-season work and stuff. And so everybody's getting their mind and their body prepared for the season. And one of the questions that I actually saw yesterday, which was interesting, was can the Dallas Cowboys have back-to-back consecutive playoff seasons? And when you think about what has happened with the Cowboys, generally speaking, in the recent history, we followed up a good season with then a bad one. You'll remember when the Super Bowl was going to be in Dallas in 2010, they thought that could the Dallas Cowboys host a Super Bowl, coming off of a great season that they had before, and fell flat on their face. Wade Phillips got fired during the season, and Jason Garrett became our head coach. But you'll remember in 2014, catch no catch. Then the next year, falling by the wayside to 4-12. And to another extent, although we didn't fall quite as far, 2016 making the playoffs, 2017 we still had a winning record, which was better than the usual, but missing the playoffs. And I will say that most years, 9-7 actually would make the playoffs in the NFC East. But that year was just kind of a really good year for the NFC. So the question is, can the Dallas Cowboys do that? Well, looking even as we fell in 2017, we didn't fall that far. We did not end up being basement dwellers. We still had a winning record. We still played some pretty good games. There were some butt ugly ones, don't get me wrong, in between there. But we still kind of showed up. And then, of course, rebounding last year. Now, the difference that you can say as far as looking at the NFC East and when teams have gone through, like the last time the Redskins won the NFC East, it was kind of that surprise. It was by default because everybody else was bad. It wasn't necessarily that they had a great team or great personnel. It was just kind of, we won it. You look at the Eagles when they went from being in the basement and then going through and going all the way, having Nick Foles have an incredible run through the playoffs, Carson Wentz having a good season and everything else, carrying them. You look at that team and say, yeah, they're actually a well-built team. I hate the Eagles, don't get me wrong, but I have to admit and give credit where credit's due. They have a great coaching staff, they have some really great players and things, and they have a system that works. But even with winning the Super Bowl, they still made the playoffs, but they weren't anywhere near the same team that they were the year before. The thing I look at with the Eagles right now is they have some players that are beginning to get older. The Jason Peters and things, the Deshaun Jackson. It's great to have the veteran presence, but when you have a lot of key players that are getting older, it takes more time to recover. You don't have the speed that you used to or the strength and so on. And that may be, to me, the Achilles heel for the Eagles. Now, make no mistake about it. I'll be the first one to tell you, it's next to impossible to repeat in the NFC East. It's been 15 years since we've had back-to-back winners, and that includes 3 teams that won Super Bowls. But with that being said, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys roster, the Dallas Cowboys are one of the youngest teams in the NFL. But not only young, they're also experienced. When you think about, let's say, Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, between them, they only have 3 years of experience. 3 years. It's not a lot of playing time. But you're looking at two of the best linebackers in football. And you can say the same thing about Zeke Elliott. You can look at our offensive line that, with the exception of Tyron Smith, who's beginning to get older, he's not anywhere near as old as, say, a Jason Peters. So you have a lot of youth on your side. And when you have youth on your side, you have guys that are a little stronger, a little quicker, a little hungrier, guys that are trying to make the big contracts. And we have a lot of guys that are in that contract year that are looking to get paid. It's going to be a dogfight because people are going to want what we have. But I feel like you have a great opportunity to get this team to another level than where we've been. And when you look at guys like Connor Williams, who last year you could say was kind of outmanned, and when you look at how much work he has put in on that body, building himself, getting ready for the season, makes you start thinking that, yeah, we could be in a better place. Now I'm going to ask a dumb question because, we all know I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. I live and breathe Dallas Cowboys every day of the year. And I'm a diehard fan. I believe in the star above all else. It doesn't matter who's wearing the star. If they are a Dallas Cowboy player, they are part of my family. But I'm trying to understand, and it's not so much on here as it is more on Facebook, but where we have so-called Dallas Cowboy fans that literally seem to enjoy trying to put down some of our players. And I don't get that. And I would like to understand that one. I look at the last 3 years. We haven't won a Super Bowl, and unfortunately the Eagles did, so they have that and they're pounding their chest on it. But we've won a hell of a lot more games, 32 over the last 3 years, in any period in quite a while. We seem to have gotten away from the crazy moves, the reaches for the TOs and things, or the Brandon Carrs or the Greg Hardys and things, that now it seems to be a much better organization. We've gone away from having the journeyman quarterbacks where we're reaching here and there, and every year or two we got somebody else. And it seems like the team is on a projection going up. Yet there's some so-called fans out there that always seem to be talking about how bad our quarterback is, or and the thing I get about it, because there's one in particular, but he'll cut down our quarterback or our wide receiver and things like that, and then put a smiley face and a laugh out loud, but claims to be a Cowboy fan. It's kind of like being married, talking bad about your wife or your girlfriend. How does that work out for you? I really just don't understand it. Now I get, Philly 500 is going to talk about my team. The giant cockroaches are going to talk about my team because, of course, they don't like my team. But how is it that guys that are fans of the team will just trash that? I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize, because you definitely should criticize. There's a difference between criticizing what you're doing, your performance record. If you lose a big game or you have a big fumble and things like that, that's one thing. But to maliciously go after players that are on your team, I don't understand if you are a true fan. And if somebody can give me some insight on that, I appreciate that. But that's all I got to say on that one, guys. Everybody, California, thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Hopefully everything's going to be okay. And any news on the Dallas Cowboys, hopefully there is none, we'll be bringing to you here on the Jobu Sports Report. Thanks, everybody, for being in last night, part of the live stream. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Blue Sports Report. I'll see you soon.